I'm Sid, and these are my best friends. My mom, Kim, my dad, Ty, my sister, Maddie, and our salty dog, Stella. We started our adventure refitting a Lagoon 450 before taking on the massive project of resurrecting a sunken 2021 Leopard 50. It's been one heck of a ride, but we're on this adventure to die with memories, not dreams, and live dauntless.
Okay, guys, this is part 3 in our series about our sails. Precision is going to be making not only our head sail, but also our light wind sail, which we went over the difference in sails last week. So if you didn't catch that video, Sid will put a card up here somewhere. You can go back and watch that to try and learn a little bit about the differences in all of these types of sails. And now today we are meeting with Jeremy, different Jeremy in the design side of things. And he's going to help start talking with us about designing our downwind or light wind sail. So Jeremy, what do we need to do now?
Sure. So we've got some great measurements from you guys, and we're going to start designing the sails. And what we're looking for is to assess your inventory that you currently have, what you plan on doing with the sail, and then custom designing this sail for you. And in no other design than Code Zero's, they really exemplify this the best, the difference between a properly fitting sail and a properly designed sail, and the difference between a standard sail and a custom designed sail. And that's because when we're talking about Code Zeros or these reachers, there's huge differences that we can change in just the shape, whether it's how much of the leech we're adding on, the luff twist, head twist, broad seams, profiles, entrance angles, all that kind of stuff comes into consideration with these designs to ensure that we're doing either a beam reach, a broad reach, or a close reach style Jenniker or a coated sail. One of the things that's really important to know, and what I always say to people is, generally speaking, what we're looking for as an inventory is to have obviously your main sail, your head sail, and then something for a downwind sail. So very often that would fall into something like an A2 or some form of spinnaker. Now for you guys, what you've told me is that what you're really looking for is something that's going to be getting you through the Caribbean, reaching a lot, and specifically working in light wind scenarios. As far as a little anecdote, something that I heard from a gentleman a couple of years ago, which has turned my mind around the way that I think of drifters and Jennikers, is he ended up down in the Baja where his engine cut out in about 2 knots of wind. And the only thing that kept them off the rocks was the fact that he had an old racing drifter that they were able to get up and steer their boat away. Wow. And it's this sort of weird thought process of it being not just a kind of fun sail to have, but it's almost like a safety sail, the same way that you'd have a trysail or a storm sail for these gales. What happens when you're in trouble but there's no wind, and short of getting your kids out with oars, how do you propel your boat, right? So having the proper inventory, that even if it's like, well, my head sail is going to cover this range, maybe you're on a 50-foot catamaran, that head sail doesn't really start working till 7 or 8 knots. What are you going to do when if you end up in a really drastic situation? So having a reaching light wind sail is really important. Now, having a catamaran, I always suggest that we go with a Code Zero laminate. There's a lot being put on these sails. It's very large sail area. It's got to push a big boat. And when you're trying to reach and point up, you're putting a lot of load on the luff of that sail, especially up at the head. Code Zero laminate has, just more aramid than you can shake a stick at. And although we can build Code Zeros out of light cloth like nylon, like a spinnaker nylon, it is more prone to have a catastrophic failure. So when we're talking about these sails, especially when we start thinking of it as a safety sail, security sail, building it out of the proper material like a Code Zero laminate is definitely worth it, and it's still plenty light. Code Zero laminates will range about 3 ounce, as opposed to a heavy nylon, which is like 2.5 or 2. So it's not like we're building it out of Dacron or something like that. It's going to be a nice light cloth that is going to be able to be durable and work well with your catamaran.
Okay.
Now, I hope that all makes sense. I sort of ramble on a bit sometimes.
No, it makes perfect sense.
It really does. And I know that we're talking about inventory. Obviously, we've got our mainsail. And then we do know, and we were told just the other day, that I think that the Genoa on the Leopard 50 from the factory is about a 109.
We actually had a viewer who is also a Leopard 50 owner, and they sent us a comment in the comment section of last week's video and said that the head sail on the Leopard 50, because of course we don't have one because ours sank. It is a 109. So hopefully that helps you guys out a little bit when we're talking about the design of our head sail, what we're going to do exactly with that.
So knowing what that sail will do, then going into this code.
Correct.
What that's going to fill in. Because we're talking to Ron, we would like to have a sail that we can do some pointing and do some reaching on. But we are going to be getting into some downwind stuff later, and we'll probably be adding that downwind later, some sort of a spinnaker later. But for now, a little bit of downwind with the code would be nice, but definitely want to be able to move in light wind. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Perfect. So, what we'll do then, and I will make some adjustments. The sail that I've got right now is specifically kind of a close reacher. And what I'll do then is I'll start designing a bit more towards the beam reach end of the Gennaker, and that's fine. All it'll mean a bit more depth. We're going to be increasing the draft a bit. I'll be putting a bit more sail on the back end, so we're not running with such little roach, and that will kind of help allow the sail to fill in that beam reach. Yeah, you might not be able to point it up as high as your jib, but I mean, it's if we're designing just like a 109 to 115 kind of the head sail, shouldn't have any problem propelling air over top of your headset or over top of your mainsail rather, and helping point. So I think that makes total sense. So I'm just going to share my other screen here.
I can't wait to see the sails. All right.
Okay, so this is the Code Zero as we have it, and you can see that we've got it. It's got a bit of shape to it, but it's not super flat. It's not really tight, not like a mainsail would be. It's still got some depth to it, and we'll increase it a little bit further. But as it sits, this is a nice close reaching Code Zero sail as far as the shape, and I'll just give that a bit of color so we can.
So what kind of angles are we looking at, Jeremy, on a close reaching versus more broad reaching? Yeah,
we're expecting that this sail will reach up to about 55 degrees. Given the size of your guys' boat, and so it's really able to pinch high. It's restricted to probably about 90 to 100, somewhere around there. And a lot of that stuff, I know. We like to think of this as all black and white science, and I can tell you exactly what the sail should. There's always a difference between what it should and what it can, and that's just the difference between boat to boat and how you sail it. So, where you specifically place your sheeting block can make a big difference. How far inboard to outboard it was positioned will allow the sail to be nice and tight. And so that's why you say, the expected sail shape is this. How you'll realistically be able to use it, given your rigging experience and the wind conditions at the time, might differ a little bit. But for this design, we would expect somewhere about 55 to 100. The other something you'll notice here is, I've got this kind of blue line painted. We won't have that. That was really for me to describe how the sail is going to be able to sheet. We got some really nice sheeting positions for you guys for your block that we've got positioned down here. And this just goes to show that your sheeting direction in standard sailing position, because again, we're dealing with a dynamic product, right? Like I can only design a sail into one position, then you'll trim it to go a higher upwind or downwind. But in quote unquote standard sailing position, we're expecting that this at this clue height, at this LP of the sail, we're going to be sheeting it to about 40%. Let me just double check that. Sorry, 36% of the luff of the sail. And that's to allow the sail to be able to bleed off properly by not pulling too hard down on the leech, as well as giving correct amount of body to the foot. Now, if you were to move your jib sheet forward, let's just take it forward by, say, a meter, or about 3.5 feet. Well, you can see now that this would kind of start to lead further up. And this line would then be pulling harder down on your leech and allowing a bit more room on your foot. And that can be a really big kind of consideration when it comes to code zeros, is exactly how you're positioning it. If people have done custom work to a boat and they've repositioned the block, or they've decided that they're going to just run it off a spinnaker block at the transom, or they want to run it off a jib track or something like that, you all of a sudden you'll have to readjust. And what you find with coated sails is running with another line that goes over your jib sheet that allows you to pull down on it and readjust what that angle is, so that if you are finding that it's not getting enough leech tension, you're able to kind of pull down on that other line. It pulls the jib sheet down and readjusts the angle, and that way you're able to close off your leech. Very, very common with coated sails. I strongly recommend it, and kind of just one of those things that makes sailing fun, is that you'll get so much more out of it. And it's another, people do it with other sails, of course, but it seems to be more necessary for.
And which end of the wind direction does that open up?
Going upwind. I mean, it'll kind of allow you to adjust inboard and outboard as well. But realistically, as you're trying to point up and you're trying to close off, that leash is trying to bleed off, that's when you're going to want to pull down and close off that leash so you can really power up the sail.
So, you said earlier that you designed this to be more of a pointing sail, and now you're thinking maybe going more reach. Yeah, I mean
it's funny enough. My original design for you guys was a bit more of a cruiser kind of broad-reaching sail, because again, I was sort of thinking a bit more along the asymmetric side of it. Okay. But if we are looking to really kind of want to be able to reach and point with the sail, then that means kind of trimming it in. And one of the nice things that we can start to realize with these sails as well is with your head sail and you start to go downwind is, going wing on wing or butterflying the sails, or however you want to say it, where you're kind of kicking one out with a pole and running your head sail straight down, and then making use of it that way. And that you will be able to do that. It won't be as effective as an ASIM. I mean, sure. A2s are such a beautiful sail because it gets you from 165 to 90 or 85, and it allows you to kind of have that downwind side of your inventory, but still be able to get to the broad reach and then over to the beam reach. And then as soon as you kind of go past that, well, then you're moving over to your Genoa. But like we were talking about before, then you sort of lose that light wind capability.
Yeah, and I think that's more. I think that's more important to me, is having that light wind capability.
Right.
Yeah, and then we can talk about doing something deeper, wing on wing, or maybe adding, a spinnaker to the inventory at a later point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that as our cruising grounds open up and we start doing more places, it will have a need for a change in the sail plan at some point. But I think for right now, I think that's definitely.
Yeah. So I don't want to. I think what you've designed actually probably suits our needs pretty well. And I like having the laminate because, again, I'm just a little nervous about not reefing soon enough or putting a little too much wind into that and having a nylon.
I don't want to blow it out.
Yeah, I don't want a nylon that's going to blow out. And yes, we might sacrifice a couple knots of wind on the bottom end of potential, but I mean, we kind of have a threshold. Every cruiser's got a threshold on how fast they're going to go versus when they're going to turn the engine on. I mean, that's just to be honest. I mean, if I'm sitting there at 2 knots, I'm going to turn the engine. I'm just going to.
Yeah, exactly.
So what type of wind speed do you think this is going to get us down to with this laminate?
Realistically, with these, you're probably looking at 5 or 6.
I think that's sufficient.
Which is probably good, for most people. I mean, like you said, if we went to a nylon, you could probably squeeze it down a little further, but you make some pretty big sacrifices for it.
Yeah. I really like that apparent wind that Ron was talking to us about last week.
Yeah.
Being able to have, a little bit more robust sail.
So, furthering some of the design conversation, doing this type of sailcloth, what does that do for our color?
What do we talk about that?
You sort of get gray or black with it. There are Contender does make a black laminate, or it's kind of a gray. It's a nice silver, but it does limit our color. Spinnaker nylon is made out of about 1 million colors, and I wouldn't be surprised as these laminates get more more used, more popular, if we'd start to see more colors. But at this point, we're looking at about silver and black for the two of them.
Well, I like a black sail. They're very sexy.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I think it would be cool. Is there a way for us to put any color or a logo on this without compromising the performance of the sail?
There are. I would have to defer. I would have to
sugarcoat it. Just kick me. But yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to defer to G2. Laminates can be quite difficult to get. I think we can easily just do this for you, because.
Oh, there you go.
Well, that'll be the UV. Whoops. There we go.
You get to see it in black.
There. Bam. And then we'll take this blue strip off too.
Oh, nice.
So, just for folks that are out there looking at getting a sail made, what is once we get to this point where we've kind of given you our measurements, you've checked everything out, everything seems to be ticking the boxes correctly, good to go, we've talked about our design, we're to that point now. About what someone's time frame, not so much ours, because I think we still have a discussion to have with the other Jeremy, for logo purposes and whatnot. But once we've got all that tightened up, what is the typical timeline to get a sail made and ready for delivery?
Right. And it can be one of those topics that it shifts and turns, especially given, world conditions as we've seen over the last few years.
Yep.
But we're kind of getting back to the normalcy of life, thank goodness. And also, and time of year makes a big difference as well. But I mean, we're looking at about 5 to 7 weeks, I believe, at this point. And it will also depend. It will also depend on where we're shipping it to, right? Like if you're in Panama, we're not going to be able to make 5 to 7 weeks.
Right.
But I mean, for stateside, and this size of sail, 5 to 7 weeks is sort of what we're looking at.
And I'm assuming
we're
going to have to add a little bit of time if we want logo.
Yeah. What happens is we need it to cure. The actual process, what they'll do when they print it onto the Dacron, they'll send it down, have it printed onto the sheets, and then it literally just lays out for like 2 weeks to make sure that it's cured on there and isn't going to be damaged as they're building it. And then they have to ship it and everything. It comes, and they'll place a protectant over it as they flake it so that they can ship it to you. But I mean, realistically, if they don't take the time, then that sail's just going to come in the graphic will be all scratched up.
Hey,
There's Daryl. Oh, he's such a goof. Yeah.
He's back.
Yeah, he's back. Oh, yeah, the office is about to get crazy again.
That's right. It's about to get crazy.
Nice.
So,
as far as it goes on our side, I'll review it one more time myself, and then I'll move it on to another senior designer that'll go over it, make sure I've crossed all my T's and dotted all my I's. And then after that, oh, here he comes. Yeah, come on in here.
What's going on? How's it going?
They say hi here.
Did I interrupt everything? Oh yeah, of course.
Hi.
Hey there. It's nice to see you in the office. You've been on YouTube everywhere.
Well, I'm trying,
Yeah, you're doing great. You're doing great.
Right on. So, what did you guys work on the sail?
Yeah.
We did. It looks like we're going to do a black laminate code for some pointing, which we're super stoked about. And then, I think we're gonna put the logo on the Genoa, and I can't wait for you to come out here and help us put it on the boat. Yes,
I'm in.
right
Obviously.
on.
I love it.
Obviously.
Obviously. So yeah,
I'm gonna pass you back to Jer.
All right.
I
Sounds
just
good.
walked in, so we'll talk to you guys in a bit.
All right. Talk
Sounds
to you in a
good.
bit.
Bye, Daryl.
Oh, wild guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
You just took over your conference call, right?
I'm used to it. Gotta get used to it around here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, I'll do another review. I'll pass on to another designer. We'll kind of go over, make sure that cross my T's, dot all my I's, and then we'll send you a finalized design shot and dimensions. It'll kind of break down anything that we were kind of anything kind of special about it. It'll have the graphic location and size, what color UV we're going to be using, all that kind of stuff, cloth weight, and then. Apart from that, we'll be good to go. We'll get it moved into production, and we'll work on timeline with you guys, just seeing where you are, what the plan is, and then kind of streamline it, get it all out to you.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we'll definitely be stateside through
this process.
through this
Yeah, so that'll be
process,
good.
Yeah.
All
You'll be
right.
sending it to Florida.
Beauty, we're used to it.
Yeah. Right on.
So I would say that for all of our patrons, you guys should be keeping a close eye to any patron updates that we give about the sales, because obviously we'll leave the final reveal till later. But anything that we decide along the way, patrons get exclusive access to that. So if you're interested, sign up for Patreon, and you will also get some of those really cool updates, which would be awesome. In the meantime, I think we're good to go and ready.
Yeah, and if you obviously like and subscribe, there's just so many really, really good measuring and informational videos on precision. So if you don't follow them, make sure you jump over and take a look at their channel as well. And I think that's it, Jeremy. Until next week, until we meet again.
Looking forward to it, guys. All right. Have a great rest of your day.
See you later.
We'll chat soon. Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye for now.
Bye.